Coming up on today's show, Love Your Heart. Dr. Marc is in the studio with life-saving information from diet to exercise and everything in between. Plus, he'll answer your heart health questions. New Day Cleveland starts right now. Genuine. Welcome to New Day Cleveland, folks. Love your heart. Dr. Marc is with us for the entire hour, and we'll have all kinds of tips on how to improve your heart health. And we picked today's topics based on a Cleveland Clinic heart survey. So Dr. Marc is here to tell us all about that and some, like, always new information. It seems like, you know it, but you don't. It always keeps changing a little bit.
Well, it's interesting to learn what people believe to be true. We asked 1,000 adults various questions about heart health, diet, exercise, and it wasn't a graded quiz, but it revealed some very interesting information concerning misperceptions, incorrect information that people have, and we need to correct the information so that they can lead healthier lives and do better, live longer, not have heart attacks and strokes.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of this starts with diet, expense, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, every one of us eats every day. And what we eat has an enormous impact on our health. We know what the good foods are, we know what we should eat, but it doesn't happen. And when we ask people, what is the main reason that you don't eat a good diet? What stops you? And the answer, it turns out, was money. Or let's say the perception of money. Specifically, people said it costs too much to eat well. Half of the people who don't eat well said, the reason I don't eat well, just too expensive. And it turns out that we're going to show you that's not true. It's not too expensive to eat well. You can eat fruits, you can eat vegetables, you can get lean meats, you can get all kinds of wonderful parts of the Mediterranean diet at no added cost. And we're going to tell you how to do that.
And some people say, like, oh, I just don't have the time to figure this all out. But it's not that difficult.
It really isn't. It takes no more time when you're in the supermarket to choose the good stuff versus the less good stuff. And even if you say, I've got to get dinner on the way home, the kids are waiting, I need fast food, there are good fast food offerings. You can get the grilled chicken sandwich instead of the fried chicken sandwich. You can get a salad. There are good offerings everywhere. We just need to help you to make the right choice.
You know, you talked about the time and fast food being the shortcut to all of this, and maybe it all comes back to lack of knowledge, because maybe that's what takes so much time, or maybe that shortcut is the fast food, but if you don't know, that's a problem.
Well, we did ask people, what's the best diet, in your opinion? What do you think is the best heart healthy diet? 10% of people said the best diet is fast food. Well,
I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing.
That's not true. But a third of people said low fat, a third of people said low carb, and those are both also incorrect. The best diet is a Mediterranean diet, and we're going to see some great examples of Mediterranean diet. Low fat, low carb are not bad, but a balanced Mediterranean diet is the answer. You
know, I feel bad. I just laughed about, the fast food thing, but, because I see French fries and gravy and all that kind of stuff. But some people are in a situation where they think, that's the only way to go, because they just don't have the time. So, that could be a problem. So I think a lot of folks maybe also feel like they can exercise more to make up for this. Like maybe the exercise will be counter to the bad food.
Exercise is 100% good. But if you said, I've got exercise and diet, and I'm just going to choose one to make my heart healthy, diet's more important. But the best choice is choose both. Choose a good diet plus exercise. The fact is, if I go out and eat a horrible meal for my heart, I've got the fries, I've got gravy, I've got fried chicken, I wash it down with a milkshake, going and running 3 miles doesn't erase that.
Right.
I already did some damage. So you need both sides of the equation.
Yeah, so it's what's circulating in your body, what your body's digesting, and what the fats it's storing up, that's where you get the problems, and the exercise is never going to get rid of that.
Won't get rid of it. Exercise is for sure good. Every day you should exercise at least 30 minutes, and working up a sweat is even better in terms of exercise. But exercise is not like an eraser that I can get rid of that meal I just ate.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, people are watching this right now and they think, boy, I'd like to correct all these kind of things. You should make it a lifelong thing, right?
Right.
But when do you start feeling or seeing results?
Oh, you'll feel it within days. If you've got an unfavorable or a bad diet now and you switch, you're going to feel better tomorrow. If you don't exercise at all and you walk a half hour a day at a brisk pace, like 3-4 miles an hour, you might be a little bit sore tomorrow in your legs.
Yeah.
But you are going to feel more alert, you're going to feel more healthy, you're going to have more energy, you're going to notice you look better in the mirror, and all this is going to happen nearly immediately.
I was standing up the other day. I bent over to tie my shoes, and I got like, maybe I should change something about my lifestyle. My shoes are either getting farther away, or it's a little more difficult for me to grab
Yeah,
them.
or if you start to feel like all my clothes are shrinking all at once,
I know.
that's probably not what's happening.
Moving that belt loop around a little
Yeah.
bit. Okay, folks, so again, Dr. Marc will be here all hour long, and we'll get all your questions. We can answer your emails. Just send them to newday@fox8.com or reach out via social media. So it's going to be a good thing to get your questions here, and we'll get them answered, as many as we can. Coming up, heart-healthy eating on a budget. We're talking about that, right? So we're going to save you some money at the grocery store and show you some Mediterranean-style Super Bowl snacks. New Day Cleveland, love your heart. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland's Love Your Heart show. This year's Cleveland Clinic Heart Survey shows that the biggest barrier to eating healthy food is the cost. We visit the grocery store now for ways to save money on the healthiest options. 46% of Americans view healthy food as being more expensive. Cleveland Clinic dietitian Julia Zampano says to save money, skip the processed foods.
It's really a swap more than anything. I find that the cost is more expensive when you look at healthier foods that are trying to be like those processed foods. So I think that's where people get into a trap. Like, this gluten-free organic granola it costs 3 times my traditional cereal. Well, we don't really need either of those items. Let's go to real food first and fill our grocery cart with real food. And that's really going to be the best way to save money.
Another tip, compare labels.
Milk, for example. Whole milk is made 4% fat. It has the highest fat content. 2% has half that, 1% half that, and skim none at all. Although the cost is the same for all fat quantities of milk. So we really want to choose the lowest fat that we can choose when it comes to things like dairy products, cheeses, and meats. So with the leanest meat possible. Some cases it may not be the same cost, but in most cases it can be similar, if not the same, or very close to. Poultry definitely is a little bit more cost effective when you're trying to save money compared to red meats, which in general poultry is better for us anyway, especially skinless. And you know, some of the times you can actually get some fish, like canned fish, that's pretty cost effective too. So just keep that in mind. Don't discount fish, and really look for sales is another big one. Coupons are really helpful, or buying in bulk can also save you some costs, especially for some of the higher quality, higher nutrition canned foods, like some canned tuna or canned beans, getting those when you can on bulk or on sale. Meal planning can help in so many ways. It can help with saving money because you're planning ahead, looking at sales, purchasing items that may be on sale and planning your meals around those. And it also helps prevent you from going out to eat or grabbing something quickly or ordering in, which we all know saves a tremendous amount of cost. Thirdly, it really helps you stay on your diet plan and helps you meet your health goals, whether they be heart health or weight loss or whatever the case might be. It's very helpful to meal plan.
Buy in season to save money and to get the most nutrition.
Also, it gives us variety. So we're not stuck to just eating one type of fruit or vegetable throughout the year. We're really eating based on the seasons. Our goal is to provide the most amount of variety we can in our diet. And oftentimes those seasonal fruits and vegetables can be lower cost if purchased within their season.
Don't let food go to waste. Use excess veggies in soups, fruits in smoothies, or freeze them both for later use.
Grapes are great frozen, bananas are great frozen, apples can be blended while frozen. So I would highly recommend using the freezer and keeping a better eye on it if that's happening consistently.
Some really great information there, and a big part of healthy heart is what you put in your body. So, here to inspire your Super Bowl menu is Cleveland Clinic dietitian Julia Zampano. And I tell you, that was a great piece.
It was good.
Yeah,
a lot of good information.
A lot of great information. And the whole thing I love most out of that was planning, having a plan.
Yeah, you have to plan ahead.
Yeah, so if you plan ahead, it's not a difficult thing to shop for.
No.
Then you know what you're looking for and you know what you're going to get in the end. So we're planning the Super Bowl.
We are planning the Super Bowl. And then you
That's
don't
a big
make
bowl.
mistakes, too. But yeah, huge bowl.
Okay.
Good Super Bowl. We are making here bruschetta. So I think this is a great, very, very simple thing to bring to a Super Bowl party or to make for your guests.
Takes all day to make, though, doesn't it?
All day. You'll
Okay.
see how long. So we have about 5 Roma tomatoes, but you can use any kind of tomato. So it comes out to be about 3 cups of chopped tomatoes.
Less seeds in Roma, so they're nice for this.
Fresh tomatoes. And then basil. So fresh basil, about a tablespoon of fresh basil. Get all out there.
That's right.
And then a clove of garlic, or 2 small cloves, just depending on the size. Fresh garlic. So many nutritional benefits to garlic.
Like what?
Well, it can help, has been shown to help reduce blood pressure. It can reduce inflammation, adds a ton of flavor to foods, so it helps reduce added salts and added oils, especially the unhealthy oils.
Don't forget the vampire thing, too.
Oh, yeah.
That, too.
All,
Okay.
scares away all the vampires.
There you go.
Perfect. And then salt and pepper, so 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of pepper.
Okay.
And then, of course, the extra virgin olive oil. A tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, I'm just going to drizzle. 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And that's it. That's it. You just mix it all together. And you can get some whole grain bread and toast it in the oven and just serve this on top of the bread. You can use it as a dip with crackers. You can throw it on top of a bed of greens for a salad. I like to even throw some fresh mozzarella in with it. And make it a salad,
And
too.
it's fabulous. All the fresh stuff, like the basil and the garlic, really wake it up.
Yes.
So you can make this in advance, too, so it sits around, those flavors meld together a little bit.
Yeah, it stays really well in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
And it won't last long because it tastes wonderful.
'Cause
Doesn't it smell great?
It smells great, and I saw olive oil is a big component.
Yes, olive oil has so many positive properties. So we know extra virgin olive oil can really help your heart. It helps provide those good, healthy mono and polyunsaturated fatty acids, especially when you're using it to replace unhealthy oils. It can really boost heart health, can help suppress inflammation, and just is overall just a phenomenal tasting oil. Tons of antioxidants, polyphenols, packed with a lot of great nutrients.
Big part of the Mediterranean diet. Okay, so we got this here, and we got a whole nice display of things
So
here.
this is important. What I did is I took the bruschetta and added lentils to it. So another great way to make it more thick, more hearty. It's almost like a dip that you can now use with crackers or add it even like with sandwiches. And you add that protein from the beans and a lot of great fiber.
Okay, so we had this right here. So you put this in one bowl out for the family, the friends, all the football fans, whatever. You don't need a football game to make this kind of stuff
No.
either, right? You can do this all the time. And if you want to make it more hearty in a separate dish, so you got 2 things in one, you just add the beans here.
The lentils, yeah. I added lentils just because I think they're tinier and absorb well,
Yeah.
and most people manage lentils better.
Okay, let's take a look at this here, because this is a nice bruschetta board here. We've had people on here that talk about butter boards.
Okay.
Butter board, that might be a little shaky for heart health, right?
Yes, this is a Mediterranean charcuterie board. So it has a little bit of everything. So we have
Looks beautiful, doesn't it?
It does, and
Yeah.
it's very good. Some tzatziki sauce, which is a Greek yogurt sauce with fresh cucumbers and garlic and some herbs and seasonings, dill, and then some seasoned chickpeas, some hummus.
How did you season the chickpeas?
Different herbs and seasonings. You can use whatever you want. I used some red pepper, salt, pepper, and some cilantro.
You know, we talked about planning. When you go to the store,
Olive oil.
When you go to the store, you have the oil already. You just buy some herbs and you just toss them and do it yourself, so it doesn't cost you a bunch of money.
Very simple. You can actually use what we used
Exactly what here.
and just, add it to the chickpeas.
Let's go nuts here. What's this?
So those are seasoned nuts as well. So Mediterranean seasoned nuts, and then there's some dried olives in there actually.
Ooh.
So that's a nice blend.
It's like a raisin but an olive. That's
Yep.
great. And then we talked about crackers before, carbohydrates and that sort of thing. Your crackers look a little different than some of the crackers I see like in regular bruschettas.
Yes, so these are seeded crackers, whole grain crackers, and these are actually wheat-free, so they're gluten-free crackers that are mainly seed-based. And of course you have your veggies and your fruit, your olives. And lastly, I made a little dip, so for something sweet, it's cocoa,
almond butter, and some honey, just mixed together, and it works well as a dip for like celery
We gotta find
or
out about this, right?
apples, or bananas. So, and the dark chocolate, the raw cacao, has so many polyphenols and antioxidant properties too. And the almond butter, again, great monounsaturated fats.
When you first get a hold of this,
protein.
you think peanut butter, but then all of a sudden it turns into so many other things. So it's really a great little idea.
Yeah.
So
it's
we're going to
great.
have this information available for all the folks out there.
Great.
You always bring great information.
Thank you.
I feel healthier already.
Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Good call. Okay, coming up, we talk diet. Now let's talk exercise. Nicole joins us live from the Cleveland Clinic to help you get started and stay with an exercise program. Welcome back. Today is all about loving your heart. So coming up, Dr. Marc will answer your questions, and you can email them to newday@fox8.com or reach out via social media. Once again, Dr. Marc will answer as many as time allows. We love that indeed. Coming up, that's coming up. Okay, Nicole's out at the Cleveland Clinic talking exercise, and what do we need to know? Nicole?
Good morning, David. All morning long, we've been giving you tips on how you can love your heart. And one of the easiest ways to do that is through exercise. I'm here at the Cleveland Clinic Cardiac Rehab Room, and joining me is Dr. Tamana Singh. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
We are so excited that you're here with us, especially because you have different ways that you can give our viewers tips and tricks on how to stay heart healthy. So the biggest barrier, the biggest hurdle,
Sure.
How do you get started when it comes to starting an exercise routine?
So I think oftentimes we make the process of getting started much bigger than it actually is. I mean, exercise is really any intentional movement, which can be as easy as saying, I'm going to go up and down this flight of stairs 10 times today. If that's intentional, if that's something that's not necessarily part of being physically active on a day-to-day, that's exercise. It does not have to be buying the most expensive sneaker to go out for the longest run, or buying the most expensive bike to go out for a great trail bike ride. It can really be as simple as just taking some steps outside around your neighborhood, maybe with a friend or with a pet.
So you don't have to run and get a gym membership. It's something that you can do, like you said, around the neighborhood. So once you get started, what kind of routine do you have to follow? Does it have to be something very specific? Does it have to be the same thing every day? Should we switch it up?
So I always say aim for consistency when you start, especially if you haven't exercised before. Your body's going to kind of be a little confused with new movement, and you really want to make sure that you don't take yourself out of the game with injury. So the best thing to do is say, you know what, I'm just getting started with an exercise program. Walking is probably the easiest thing you can do. Start with maybe 10 to 15 minutes of easy walking around the neighborhood. Do that a couple of times a week, and then gauge and see, how do you feel? You might have some aches and pains here and there just because your body's not used to movement, but build upon that. And once you can actually be consistent and maintain a habit for 3 to 4 weeks, then you can start to get a little more creative with intensity, maybe with duration, maybe with other types of activity.
Now, when it comes to exercise, how important is it to just kind of get up and start moving? How important is it for people to say, you know what, I think it's time I do something right now? Or do you say, I'm gonna wait until tomorrow?
You know what, I say if you got the urge, you should just go for it. And take each day, day to day, right? You know, I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do X, Y, and Z every single day. If for some reason life happens and you're unable to get your 30 minutes of exercise in that day, that's okay. But make sure you have that intention to try to do that the next day. Oftentimes we can fall kind of victim to saying, you know what, I'm gonna push it off to tomorrow, push it off to tomorrow, push it off to tomorrow. And that then puts us in this predicament of not really establishing the habit. But if you're really encouraged and motivated to get out there and exercise, go for it.
Now, what about the people that are saying, all right, but I eat well. I eat really, really well. Can they skip on the exercise, or is it kind of something that goes hand in hand?
It's interesting that you say that, because we actually did a heart survey that showed that the majority of Americans actually think that exercise is the most important thing. Actually, 71%.
All right, so if I'm exercising a ton, I can eat all the Oreos I want.
Oh, you would think, right? But those Oreos have got to go somewhere. Right. So it's really the quality of nutrition and quality of exercise, or actually the frequency of exercise, that are going to go hand in hand when we're talking about the biggest bang for your buck for cardiovascular risk reduction. Both have a role. With nutrition, you may actually see see more improvement with respect to weight management and body composition. But that same nutrition is what you're going to utilize to fuel your performance, to fuel your exercise. And when you're feeling good moving, and you're actually going to feel more motivated to eat nutritiously, so that you feel good with what you're eating.
And when it comes to exercising, it doesn't matter how old you are, right? I mean, you should really start at a young age, get your kids involved in sports, and then lead that into running marathons like you do.
Yes, so exercise does not discriminate. The youngest should be exercising, the oldest should be exercising, and you can, right? Like, I think a lot of times, again, we make things more complicated than they should be. Movement is movement. Intention is intention. Be intentional about what you put into your body and how you move your body, and you're really going to be in good shape to kind of move forward with great heart health.
Movement is intentional. Dr. Singh, thank you so much for sharing
pleasure.
all of these tips. And like she said, don't wait, get started today. Even if it means taking your dog for a walk around the block, that is a step in the right direction. We are learning so much this morning, so many ways on how to love your heart. We're going to throw it back to you in the studio. Dr. Marc?
A patient of mine, Dan Luciano, found out he needed heart surgery in a somewhat unusual way. He found out from the FAA. Dan Luciano is a cyclist, retired police officer, and recreational pilot. Every 2 years, he needs testing to fly.
You have to go to a special doctor, an FAA certified doctor, to get your flight physical. He detected a murmur in my heart.
Additional testing confirmed that Luciano had mitral valve regurgitation and he would need heart surgery. For this father of 8, it was tough news.
Because at the time, my youngest ones were 16, 15, 16, so these aren't children anymore, and my oldest was 32. And they were terrified, because I'm proud of my kids, and they had already been through trauma.
The loss of their mother, Dan's wife Lisa, in 2012.
They didn't want to lose me, so I guess it was an inspiration that maybe that's what gave me some peace of mind that I couldn't go anywhere.
I performed Luciano's surgery on Valentine's Day of 2022.
I said, "Doctor, I consider myself like a very active person, in good shape. Like, will I be back to where I am?" And he said, "You'll be better." He said, "You've been doing what you've been doing with a misfiring engine. We're going to fix the engine. You'll be doing better."
A few days later, he was back on his treadmill with the goal of completing the 100-mile Velisano bike race. Velisano is a Cleveland Clinic fundraiser for cancer research.
They encourage you to do things right away, not to push yourself, but you shouldn't be lying around. You know, they want you walking, and it was February, so within a few days home from the hospital, I was on a treadmill, not pushing myself. People were yelling at me, so, but it went well. I felt good.
7 months later, Luciano finished Velisano. Today, he feels great. He's looking forward to more cycling, traveling, and time with family.
Eventually, I would have become symptomatic. The way that your body deals with the condition I had is my heart enlarged. So eventually, I would have started experiencing symptoms and gone down the same road. Alternatively, it could have led to a heart attack. So I'm grateful to that doctor, and I'm grateful to all the care that I received after him at the clinic.
Next on New Day Cleveland, Love Your Heart, knowledge that could help you save someone's life, how CPR works, and how you can sign up for a class. Very important. We'll be right back.
For videos, recipes, and more, there are great clips posted from New Day Cleveland every day at fox8.com. Sponsored by Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Welcome back to our hour-long special, Love Your Heart. So let's say you stumble upon an emergency situation. What would you do? What would you know how to do? Well, here to help is Clarence Moore and Ron. How are you, Ron?
Good.
Good to see you again. I've seen you guys around teaching people, right?
It's good to be with you.
So, Dr. Mark, these guys can teach you how to save a life.
I'm always trying to do that.
Yeah.
That's the job.
Okay.
But the point is, it's not just my job, it's everyone's job.
And everyone can learn how, thanks to you guys. So we come up, somebody's in trouble, what do we do?
So as soon as you see someone down, you want to get down next to them. So
you
let's
want
get
to do
down
that?
next to them. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, get down next to them
You want to have someone call 911
right away.
right away.
Now look down. Is the person moving? Is the person breathing? No. Let's get our hands in the center of the chest. Get your hands in the center of the chest and bring your body as close as you can to the person. And now you're going to just push hard and fast, straight down. Get up over the person. Good job. Good job. Nice and fast. Come on, nice and fast. Good job. Dr. Marks, that looks very good. Good job. Up and down.
He's got
up
the
and
edge
down.
on me here.
Up and down. Very good. Good job.
And if you count by number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
help.
you'll be on a nice rate. You won't go too fast.
We want to make sure the person's on a hard surface. We want to make sure that we're pushing nice and even on their chest. That looks very good.
Are people afraid of hurting people?
Well, you got to remember, you're not going to really hurt them. So you just want to push hard and fast. We'll let someone else kind of figure out what happens to them after that. But we just want to keep pushing hard and fast.
This is a good reason to stay in shape,
That's
isn't
a
it?
good reason to stay in shape, yes.
What about the breathing? Rest
Okay,
your breaths.
we're not going to do breathing. We're only going to do hands-only CPR. We're going to circulate blood around the body, and we're going to just do CPR. What these individuals really need is good CPR, and then we're going to talk about our AED in just a little bit.
If you call 911, the dispatcher can actually coach you on how to
Good
do,
job.
where to put your
Very
hands,
good.
and
That's
how
very
deep
good,
to
Dave.
push, and how fast to go.
That's very good. Good job. Good job.
So should we have already told someone to go find this device here?
Someone is getting the AED. Down 911. Get an AED and start pushing hard and fast. Guys, you're doing a good job. This is
Outstanding.
very good. Good job.
Yep.
So when you get tired, so say you get tired, do you ask somebody to jump
Then
in
you
for
just
you?
stop, and someone else can get on the chest. Hopefully by then the ambulance is there. Someone is there to help you.
Well, if I had to wait 5 or 10 minutes, Dr. Mark, they'd be putting me on the ambulance too.
It's a workout.
It's a lot of work, and that's what we tell people. It's a lot of work, and that's why the training is so important, to take a class to figure out how to do hands-only CPR. Just jump on the chest and start pushing.
Where can
talk
people
to me.
take these classes?
We could take these classes, and what we're going to tell our viewers to do is just to go right to cpr.heart.org, and there you'll see all the classes there that the American Heart Association
Great
is
job,
offering.
Doc. Great job.
Good job.
I
Good
think we
job.
saved these two guys.
Good job.
Nice
How do you
work.
feel?
I feel like I need to be saved.
It's a lot of work, isn't it, gentlemen?
It's worth
It's
it.
a lot
It's
of
worth it.
work.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you got to do it.
You got to do it.
Well,
yes.
it doubles a person's chances of surviving.
You say what?
It
Every
just
minute
doubles.
it diminishes, huh?
Yeah, and the average response time for the ambulance is going to be what, 4 to 8?
4 to 6 minutes. They should be
That's
there.
pretty good.
That's
Yeah.
a long time to do CPR. We want to circulate that blood. In 4 to 10 minutes, the person may not survive.
You know, Clarence, I think you taught me this, what, 15, 20 years ago?
Yes, yes. And we
And
talked about
I
that.
still sort of remember.
Okay, very good.
But I didn't remember how hard it is.
was, right. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Takes a little breath out of you, and you just
Because,
gotta
I
push
mean,
hard.
it's like a smaller, older person, you'd be afraid, but you can't be afraid. You got to jump in
just
there and
gotta
do it.
push. And this is what we want people to know. Just start pushing. Push hard. Push fast. And as Ron said, dial 911 and get someone there as quickly as you can to help you.
So, Ron, somebody opens up this package right here and they look in it, they're freaked out, right?
So the key to using an AED is to just let it tell you what to do.
Yes.
When it arrives, just open it up and turn it on and just say, what do you want me to do?
Apply pads to patient's bare chest.
And just do
And that's just
Okay.
do what it says.
Okay, so that's easy to do. We'll follow that. We'll talk more about that. And of course, coming up, we showed you how CPR can help. Next, we'll show you how AEDs work. And that's these little machines right here. And we'll get those questions to Dr. Mark also. He has answers.
Thank you.
This is. Okay, you had a little taste of it in the last segment, AED, right? Well, what does it stand for? External defibrillator. And it sounds complicated, but guess what? It isn't, and it could save your life in an emergency. You could save somebody else's life. So Ron and Clarence are back and here tell us all about it. So we had to go in, and this thing talks.
Yes, it does talk. So when we use the AED, we're going to turn it on, listen to it, and do exactly what it says. We're not going to teach you how to use the AED. We're going to let you use the AED. So you're going to turn it on, listen to it, and do exactly what it says.
So is this a teamwork kind of
This
thing?
is going to be a teamwork
Someone
kind
on
of
the
thing.
chest.
Okay,
Okay,
you
so-
get on the chest. You start pumping.
Okay.
Dr. Marks, you're going to yell out for help. Get the AED. Dr.
Get
Marcus,
the AED.
There you go. So
Oh my
there it
gosh,
is.
it's right here.
There it is.
Slow it down. Count out
Down.
loud.
Slow down.
Slow it down.
Slow it down.
So you open up the box.
Go ahead.
Good job.
And
Good job.
here it is, the AED.
hope
There's
you're there when I
a
need you.
green button. It says on, off.
Good job.
We press that.
Apply pads to patient's bare
Do
chest.
exactly what it says.
So we've got
Plug
two.
in pads connector.
Put
match
your
the
pads on the
flashing light.
patient's
So
chest.
just look at the picture and put it
Yeah.
on.
Where it goes.
Do I get out of the way when he does
No,
that?
just keep pumping. You can move your hands when he's ready to put the pads down. So there
Apply
you go.
pads.
Good job.
Plug in connector.
Right.
So
Very
this one's
good.
going to go right over
Just
here.
put it there. Good job. You can keep your hands right in that spot.
The shock's
there are
gonna, the shock's
two
gonna go between the
pads.
pads.
Good job.
And
Gotta
this
have
one's
both
going to go
pads.
over here.
Good job.
Yep.
There you go. And you're going to just keep pushing.
Apply pads.
Nice,
Plug it in.
hard, and
Plug in
fast.
connector.
Hard and fast. 911 is on the way. We're going to plug it in.
All right.
Now listen to it. Thank you.
Analyzing heart rhythm.
That means clear.
Do not touch the patient.
Clear. Now the AED is doing the work.
Shock advised.
It's going to figure out what the heart is
Charging.
doing.
It's looking for something to shock.
Stay clear of patient.
Clear. I like how you
Deliver
got
shock
back.
Now.
There's a light.
Press the orange button now.
Push the orange button
Your
now.
button.
Shock
And
delivered.
start back on his chest.
Right-
Start
right back on
pumping.
the chest.
Start pumping.
Right
Yes,
back
start
on the
pumping.
chest. CPR.
Good job. Excellent job.
Or if
Excellent.
someone knew, if you had someone else who knew how to do compressions, now they
Slow
would
down.
step up and take
Don't
turns.
be in a hurry. Good job.
Okay.
Good
So
job.
when I was first here, it felt like I was doing faster. Was I doing
Yes,
faster
you
before?
were doing a little bit faster. Doesn't matter. I want
Okay.
you to push hard and fast. I want you to just push hard and fast.
Everyone goes too fast the first like 30 seconds or so. They're excited.
They'll slow down.
And then they will slow down and get in a better rate. And you're in a great rate right there.
And now,
Nice
Rock,
job.
can you just stop the AED?
Yeah,
Just
every
stop it.
every
Thank
2
you.
minutes the AED
Working with the best here.
Yes.
every 2 minutes the AED will stop you and will decide to shock or not shock.
All we have to do is get the pads on, plug it in, listen to it, and the AED will work. It's taking a chaotic rhythm, ventricular fibrillation, it's defibrillating it, and hopefully it will make it work normal.
It could not be easier to use. It tells you exactly what to do, and then within the case, there are instructions, and there are only 2 buttons. I mean, easy to do.
And they're everywhere. AEDs are everywhere.
They should be everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
They should be
Yes.
everywhere. I think they're just getting everywhere now. I think another thing I was just thinking about while I was doing that, you guys are helping us here. Somebody's in a situation like this, and there's a crowd. It'd be good for people to step back a little bit because you have to hear this machine.
You do.
Yeah.
The other thing is when you first come across someone, you should take the shirt off, bare the chest so you can see where you're going to do compressions. Because the AED, when it comes in, it has to be on a skin.
So you should have that done before this gets here.
Yes.
You should be ready and waiting.
Yep. And the pads may be on the front and back. The picture will show you
All you
where
do is
which way it's going to
just
go.
Follow the pictures. That was very good, Dr. Marks. Good job. You did a good job with
Well,
the
thanks.
AED.
I think one
And
thing
great job.
everyone could do is know at your place of work, where is the AED?
AED, yes. Know where that AED is. Get the AED. First step, turn it on. Second step, listen to it. And the third step, do exactly what it says.
And if there's not an AED there, you should maybe talk to the management and maybe get one there because it's going to help visitors, the employees, everybody, people, passers-by. Airports have them now everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Okay, folks, how about next up? A warning about supplements. Okay, Dr. Marc is going to share some results of a brand new study regarding cholesterol.
Beware of supplements. A recent Cleveland Clinic cardiology study shows that some of them have no effect at all on cholesterol numbers.
Cholesterol is a waxy or fatty substance that's produced in our liver, and we also get some of it from our diet. And it can circulate in the blood, and too high levels can increase our risk for things like heart attacks and strokes.
Dr. Lou Laffin is a preventive cardiologist and co-director of the Center for Blood Pressure Disorders at Cleveland Clinic. He's also the author of the Supplements, Placebo, or Rosuvastatin Study, or SPORT, which was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology.
The purpose of this study was to look at the difference between a low dose of a well-studied cholesterol-lowering medicine, rosuvastatin 5 milligrams, and compare its impact on cholesterol and inflammatory numbers with 6 commonly taken over-the-counter supplements.
The supplements looked at were cinnamon, fish oil, garlic, turmeric, red yeast rice, and plant phenols.
What we found was that a low dose of a statin is vastly superior to each of these supplements, and we showed that none of the supplements had a statistically significant decrease in any cholesterol parameter compared to placebo.
The supplements weren't any better than placebo at lowering bad cholesterol.
It's important to understand that supplements are not necessarily benign. They're not well studied oftentimes, and so it's not enough that they may not be beneficial, but they may also have adverse side effects as well. So talking with your doctors about if it is appropriate with the medicines you're taking is important.
When it comes to cholesterol, which is found in red meats, some poultry and dairy products, LDL, or bad cholesterol, should be less than 100 in people with no known cardiovascular disease.
So healthy cholesterol numbers depend a little bit on if you have pre-existing cardiovascular disease. But typically for someone without known cardiovascular disease, we like to see an LDL cholesterol less than 100 milligrams per deciliter. We really don't look at only the cholesterol numbers in isolation. We take into account overall cardiovascular risk. So as individuals get older, their risk increases. And so when you have at least a borderline or intermediate cardiovascular risk, it should be a discussion with your cardiologist about starting even a low dose of a medicine. We know that numbers that are too high increase your risk for recurrent strokes, heart attacks, heart failure. The best way to lower cholesterol is a combination of lifestyle modifications and sometimes medicines. So making sure one's eating a healthy diet, making sure they have their weight under control, make sure they're exercising, and then in certain circumstances, starting at least a low dose of a cholesterol-lowering medicine.
Okay, folks, keep it right here. When we return, Dr. Marc answers your health questions.
Sponsors of New Day Cleveland include
As promised, you have heart questions. Dr. Marc has answers. That's a good thing.
We've got hard answers.
We've got hard answers. Okay, so I've got a bunch of stuff here, which is really good news. Let's talk about knowing your numbers. Knowing your numbers, what does that mean?
There are some numbers that are critically important to your heart health, and they are not complicated. The first thing is blood pressure. What is your blood pressure? You can check it at home, you can check it at a doctor, but the numbers you want are 120/80 or less. So you want to know your blood pressure, you want 120/80 or less. And the thing about blood pressure is you can't feel your blood pressure. I have no idea what my blood pressure is this moment, so I've got to test it to get those numbers. Another number that's really important does require a blood test, and that's your cholesterol. Same deal as blood pressure. You can't feel your cholesterol. Your cholesterol could be 400, it could be 200. You won't know unless you get a blood test. And you want your total cholesterol under 200, and your LDL, the bad cholesterol, under 100 or even less if you've had coronary artery disease or blockages. Third number you can find out right now, your BMI or body mass index. Go on Google or your favorite search engine, search BMI, and it will say enter your height, enter your weight, and you're going to get a number. That number, you'd like it to be less than 25. But those three numbers, really easy to get, very important.
Boy, that is a really good way to do it, because in the olden times, you had to go do all the math on that. It's a little difficult math, isn't it?
Yeah, and everyone had calculators.
Yeah.
Now your Apple Watch probably can do the whole thing for you anyway.
Things are getting better like that. Okay, here's from one of our viewers. I have stents. Is red meat out of the question?
It's not out of the question. You could have red meat perhaps once a week. Red meat every single day would be out of the question. And then within the category of red meat, you've got your processed red meats like salami, bologna. Stay away from those. Stay away from the processed stuff. But if you have a lean beef steak once a week, that's all right.
I noticed when Dr. Marc's on the show once in a while, and he walks by a steak on the counter over there, he goes, "Oh, that looks pretty good." And I said, "You can eat that. You can eat just about anything, but in moderation, right?"
Yeah, there are very few things that are just uniformly bad. Smoking is one of those things. But most foods, a little bit of something isn't going to be the end of you.
Here's a really good question, and this is, I love this question. Pros and cons of going on a statin. This is a senior with borderline cholesterol.
If your doctor recommends a statin, the pros hugely outweigh the cons. Statins are good for people who have had blockages. They've had coronary artery disease, they've had bypass surgery, they've had stents, blockages in the arteries to your neck called the carotid arteries, peripheral vascular disease, arteries to the legs. Anywhere you've had a blockage in an artery, that means a statin is going to make you live longer. Very easy equation. I take this pill in the morning, I live longer. Then there are some people who are at high risk for blockages. They have an elevated cholesterol and perhaps diabetes or family history or a bit overweight or hypertension. Those people also will live longer if they take statins. If someone's cholesterol is borderline elevated, oftentimes you can fix that with diet and with exercise. But if it doesn't work, a statin is a good idea. The side effects from statins are not zero, but they're generally pretty mild. They can go away if you stop a statin. So anytime a doctor recommends a statin, it is absolutely in your best interest to try it.
Yeah, from personal experience, I mean, sometimes you take a drug and you tell the doctor, oh, I got this little side effect. He goes, well, the other side effect is you might die.
Yeah, I mean, if you're weighing, I have a little bit of an aching muscle versus death.
I think it's an easy choice.
Yeah, I mean, tolerate and we can even do things like change the dose, change the statin to make these little side effects go away.
It is a miracle. Okay, why does it hurt in my chest when I eat?
That is oftentimes not a heart issue. That is more likely to be your esophagus, which is the tube that carries food from your throat to your stomach. And esophageal spasm, meaning the muscle of the esophagus suddenly squeezes down, can cause chest pain that can feel a lot like the heart. That said, when someone says, I have chest pain of any sort, the first thing to do is to see a doctor to make sure it's not your heart. So always start with, could be your heart. This probably isn't, but start with, could be your heart, prove it's not. And then things like esophageal spasm and esophageal reflux are easily treated.
That's perfect. Okay. I have type 2 diabetes. Is the Mediterranean diet good for me?
It is good for you. Type 2 diabetes can be treated more often than not with diet. And of course, you're going to be on a relatively low sugar, limited refined carbs. But short answer, yes, Mediterranean diet is a winner.
And how soon could people start to feel a reaction to changing their diet like that?
By tomorrow. If you have
You said it before, I had to ask you again. I couldn't believe it.
It's absolutely true. I mean, how about this? You know that feeling you've eaten too much?
Oh, yeah.
And you feel kind of bloated after dinner, let's say, and even into the next day. So that meal carried over into the next day. Now flip that around and say, I had a really, really good diet, a good meal. I did not get overfilled. I ate the right foods. You're going to feel better immediately and the next day.
The machine runs better that way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you go to the gas station, you've got all these choices for how much octane you want for your body to put the right stuff in.
Okay, I like this one too. If someone's having a cardiac event, is it beneficial to chew an aspirin?
Yeah, if you think you're having a heart attack, of course, 911 and chew an aspirin. Why chew it? Because you break up the aspirin, it gets into your bloodstream more quickly, and a cardiac event, specifically a heart attack, is caused by a ruptured plaque in an artery, meaning the blockage becomes unroofed and then blood clot forms on that. The aspirin prevents the blood clot from finishing off the blockage.
Sort of thins it up.
Yeah.
There you go. It's like chicken soup. Okay. I always think of food.
Yeah.
Types of fish besides salmon that are heart healthy.
Many different fish. It can be tuna fish, trout. Almost every fish is heart healthy when compared to, say, red meat. The one thing you have to do is prepare the fish, and you love cooking.
Yeah.
So you will prepare it in a heart-healthy way. What does that mean? It would be a shame to take a wonderful, low-calorie, low-fat fish, and then put something
butter in it.
Yeah, put the butter in something like Béarnaise sauce, and suddenly you took something that was really good for you and moved it into the other category.
I gotta tell you, this has been a lot of fun doing this for sure. And how about stressful items?
Stress can affect heart health. Stress in your life and in your body can affect you. So things like taking some time to exercise, to de-stress, meditation, something good for you, something that's fun.
There you go,
Good for your
folks.
heart.
Thank you very much. Love your heart, folks. You heard it from the doc.